You're listening to Reddit's Secret Confessions. I never thought I would be the one writing something like this. I used to read stories online where someone's partner just walked out or vanished, and I always thought there had to be signs. I thought if you really knew the person you loved, if you lived with them every day, you would notice the truth. You would see the cracks before the collapse. I thought that kind of thing happened to other people, not to me. But my wife Hannah disappeared, and I am left here wondering if I ever knew her at all. When I met Hannah, she was warm and open. She laughed easily, the kind of laugh that made other people smile without knowing why. She loved coffee shops, always picking the corner table so she could watch people come and go. She had a way of making small routines feel special. She made pancakes on Sundays. She left sticky notes with little doodles on the fridge. She liked to fall asleep with the TV on, even though I hated the noise. I thought those little things made us real. We dated for a while before getting married, and our first years together felt normal. We worked, we cooked dinner, we took the dog for walks. We had arguments like everyone else about bills or cleaning or stupid things like how many pillows should be on the couch. But even when we fought, I never doubted her. I trusted her. She felt steady to me. Then things started changing. It was gradual, small things at first. She became quieter. She started coming home later. She said she was catching up at work or meeting friends. I tried not to question her because I didn't want to be controlling. But I noticed. She was different. Her phone became the first red flag I couldn't ignore. She used to leave it on the counter, unlocked. Suddenly it was always with her, face down, password protected. If I asked about it, she rolled her eyes and said I was paranoid. I told myself maybe I was. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I remember one night when I asked her directly if she was unhappy. She didn't even look at me. She just said I was overthinking again, that she was stressed and I wasn't helping. She made me feel like the problem was me, like I was suffocating her. I backed off. The night she disappeared is still burned into my mind. It was raining, that heavy kind of rain that makes the whole house smell like wet earth. The gutters overflowed, and I could hear the drip outside our bedroom window. Hannah barely touched her dinner. She said she had to meet a friend for coffee, which was odd because it was almost 9 at night. She gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, grabbed her coat, and left. That was the last time I saw her. I sat on the couch waiting. I turned the TV on, then off. Midnight came and went. I tried calling her, no answer. 2 a.m. passed, still nothing. By 4 in the morning, I was pacing the living room, staring at the front door, like maybe if I watched hard enough, she would walk back in. By sunrise, I called the police. They didn't take it seriously. They said adults disappear all the time. They told me maybe she needed space. She would come back in a few days. Their tone made me feel crazy for panicking. Days dragged on, then weeks. Her car was eventually found near a train station 2 towns over. The keys were still inside. No sign of her purse, no passport, nothing. The police shrugged and suggested maybe she wanted a new life. Maybe she left me. But it didn't add up. She didn't take cash, didn't take anything important, not even her dog's leash that she always used for evening walks. I tore the house apart looking for answers. I searched every drawer, every box, even her old notebooks. In the back of her desk, tucked behind folders, I found an envelope. Inside were receipts, hotel bookings, dinner bills, places I never knew she went. And there was a second phone I had never seen before. My stomach dropped as I spread everything on the table. The receipts didn't match her stories. There were overnight stays, restaurants for 2, little trips that didn't make sense, and a name that appeared more than once. Daniel. I stared at that name for hours, my brain refusing to accept what it meant. The phone was locked, but I didn't need to open it. The receipts told me the truth. She had been living another life. I tracked Daniel online. He was real. He lived one city over. My hands shook as I made a fake account and sent him a message. He replied quickly, too quickly, like he'd been waiting for news. He said he hadn't heard from Hannah in weeks. He said he was worried. He said she told him she was divorced, that they were planning to move in together. I felt my chest tighten reading his words. He didn't know about me. I didn't know about him. She had lied to us both. For hours I stared at his messages, feeling like my whole life was unraveling in front of me. My wife wasn't who I thought she was. She built 2 lives, and then she vanished from both. The police closed the case after months of nothing. They said there was no crime. They told me to move on. Friends gave me advice, told me to date again, told me life goes on. But how do you move on when your wife disappears without explanation? How do you live in a house that still smells like her perfume, but feels empty at the same time? I tried donating her clothes, but I couldn't get rid of everything. I kept her favorite sweater. It still smells faintly like her. Sometimes I sit with it in my lap just to feel like she was real, that our marriage wasn't just some story I made up in my head. Daniel messaged me again months later. He asked if I had news. I told him no. He said he dreams she will come back. I told him I dream the same. But reality is quiet. The dog still waits by the door at night. Sometimes I swear I hear her keys in the lock or her footsteps in the hall. Sometimes I wake up thinking she's beside me. But when I reach out, it's only cold sheets. I sit here every night, staring at the silence, wondering if I ever knew the woman I married. After the first weeks passed, life turned into something unreal. I woke up every morning half expecting Hannah to walk in with coffee, like nothing had happened. And every morning it hit me all over again that she was gone. I tried to keep busy. I went to work, but I couldn't focus. My coworkers tiptoed around me like I was contagious. At home, the silence was unbearable. I left the TV on just to drown it out. Even the dog seemed confused, waiting by the door at night like she still expected Hannah to come home. The police called me in once more. They said again there was no sign of foul play. They asked if we had argued, if she might have left because of me. I hated that question. It made me feel like I had driven her away. But I told them the truth. We argued about normal things, bills, work, nothing more. I wanted to shout at them that I wasn't the problem, but maybe I was. I started retracing her steps. I visited the train station where her car was found. I stared at the parking spot, the empty space where it had been. I imagined her locking the door, walking away, blending into the crowd. Did she buy a ticket? Did she meet someone? Nobody remembered her. To them, she was just another face in a crowd that moves too fast to notice. I asked neighbors if they had seen her that night. Some said no. One said she thought she heard a car pull up, but couldn't be sure. Another said she saw Hannah walking quickly down the street with her hood up. I clung to every scrap of detail like it might unlock the truth, but it never did. Her parents called constantly at first. They wanted answers from me that I didn't have. Eventually, they stopped calling as often. I could hear disappointment in their voices, like they thought I should have done more. Maybe they blamed me too. I kept going back to the receipts, the hotels, the restaurants, the name Daniel. I couldn't stop staring at them, trying to connect dots that didn't add up. I messaged Daniel again. This time I told him who I was. I told him I was Hannah's husband. He didn't believe me at first. He thought I was lying to mess with him. When I sent him a photo of us together, he went quiet. He said Hannah told him she was divorced years ago. He said she cried when she talked about her past, said she had been hurt too much. He said she told him he was the only one who ever really understood her. Reading his words felt like knives in my chest. She told me the same things once. We talked more. He said they had plans. She told him she wanted to move in with him. They even looked at apartments. I wanted to hate him, but he was as blindsided as I was. She had built a whole future with him while still living a life with me. The more I thought about it, the less I knew what was real. Did she love either of us? Did she love both of us? Or was love just another mask she wore until she was ready to disappear? I went through our old photos, smiling faces, vacations, holidays. I studied her expression, trying to see if she was faking. But photos only capture the surface. I'll never know what she was really thinking in those moments. Friends invited me out, tried to distract me. I went a few times, but every laugh felt fake. Every restaurant reminded me of a place from her receipts. Every train ride made me feel sick. I stopped going out. Months passed, seasons changed. I packed away more of her things. I gave boxes of clothes to charity, but I kept her sweater, the one she wore all the time. It still smells faintly like her shampoo. Sometimes I hold it just to feel like she was real. Daniel reached out again. He asked if I ever thought she might come back. I told him I didn't know. Some nights I dream she's at the door, fumbling with her keys. Some mornings I wake up convinced she's in the kitchen making coffee, but it's always just empty rooms and silence. I started seeing her everywhere, or at least I thought I did. A woman with her same hair in the grocery store, a voice that sounded like hers at the train station. I chased shadows, always ending up with strangers staring back at me. The police closed the case officially. They said there was no crime, no evidence to keep it open. Just an adult who chose to leave. They told me to move on. But how do you move on when every corner of your house still feels like her? When the dog still waits by the door? When her toothbrush is still in the bathroom because you can't bring yourself to throw it away? I lie awake at night thinking about what was real. Was the marriage real? Were the laughs real? Or was I just a placeholder until she was ready for her next life? Sometimes I wonder if she started over somewhere far away, maybe even with a new name. Maybe she's smiling at another man, leaving sticky notes on his fridge. Maybe she's wearing that sweater I couldn't throw away, telling someone else she loves them. Other times I wonder if something happened to her, if she trusted the wrong person, if she thought she was escaping but found herself trapped in something worse. I'll never know. I don't know which thought hurts more. Now it's been more than a year. People stopped asking. Life moved on for everyone else, but not for me. I live in the same house, walk the same streets, eat at the same table. Only everything feels different. The worst part is the not knowing. If she left, if she's alive, if she's gone for good, no goodbye, no explanation. Just silence. Sometimes I think I hear her key in the lock. Sometimes I hear footsteps in the hallway. Sometimes I even turn my head fast, convinced she's standing there. But it's always nothing. Just air. And I sit here, staring at the empty space beside me, wondering if I ever truly knew the woman I married. After months had gone by, I started replaying not just the night she left, but our whole relationship. I thought maybe if I looked back carefully, I would see the cracks, the signs I missed, the little warnings that she wasn't who I thought she was. I remembered the way she used to hum while doing dishes. She always sang off-key, and I teased her about it. Now I wonder if she hummed to fill silence, because silence left too much room for her thoughts. I remembered how she always left the cabinet doors open in the kitchen. It annoyed me back then. Now I catch myself leaving them open on purpose, like I'm waiting for her to walk in and laugh about it. I went through her old journals. Most were half empty, just grocery lists or notes for work. But some had little thoughts scribbled in the margins, words like tired, restless, stuck. I don't know if she meant our marriage or her life in general, but they haunt me. I called the hospitals around town, asking if anyone had checked in under her name. Nothing. I even drove to shelters, thinking maybe she was hiding somewhere. Each time I walked in, I half hoped and half dreaded seeing her face, but she was never there. I pushed the police harder. I brought them the receipts, the phone, Daniel's messages. They looked at me like I was a man desperate to make sense of something senseless. They said again there was no sign of crime. They told me she could have chosen to leave. I asked why she'd leave her car, her passport, her family. They didn't have answers. Her parents stopped calling me as much, but when they did, their voices carried blame. They asked what I wasn't telling them. They asked if I had driven her away. I told them the truth, that I was just as lost as they were. But I don't think they believed me. Daniel and I kept talking, even though it felt strange. Sometimes I hated him, even though I knew he was just another victim. He told me things she shared with him, how she said she wanted to move in together, how she said she never felt free before. Those words cut deep. Because with me, she said she felt safe. Which one of us was the lie? Maybe both. I asked him if she seemed restless, if she gave hints she might disappear. He said no. He said she laughed, she made plans, she seemed happy. That scared me even more, because if she could seem happy with both of us while planning to leave, what else was she capable of hiding? I started noticing things in the house I had ignored. Receipts from random gas stations far from her usual routes. A scarf that wasn't hers stuffed in the back of the closet. I don't know if these were clues or just my mind making everything suspicious. Nights were the hardest. I lay awake listening for sounds that weren't there. The creak of the stairs, the jingle of keys, the kettle boiling. I told myself she might still walk through the door, but the longer it went on, the more I felt like I was chasing a ghost. Friends got tired of my obsession. They said I needed therapy. Maybe they were right. I went once, but all I did was talk in circles about Hannah, about Daniel, about the receipts. The therapist said closure doesn't always come. I hated that answer. How do you live without closure? One day I got a message from an unknown number. For a second, my heart stopped. I thought it was her, but it was a scam, just someone asking for money. I sat there staring at it, tears in my eyes, because for a brief second I thought she had reached out. I looked at her social media every day, even though it hadn't been updated. Old photos of vacations, smiles, dinners. People left comments asking where she was, if anyone knew. No one had answers. Her profile became like a shrine to someone half-remembered. The dog still looked for her. Every night he sat by the door, ears pricked. Sometimes he barked at nothing. I wondered if he heard her, smelled her, knew something I didn't. Animals notice things we miss. Maybe he felt she was alive somewhere. Or maybe he was just waiting, like me. Once I thought I saw her on the street. Same hair, same walk. I ran after the woman, calling out her name. She turned around confused, and it wasn't Hannah. People stared at me like I was crazy. I felt the heat of shame burning my face. It's strange how you start doubting your own memories. Was our wedding real in the way I thought it was? Did she mean her vows? Did she laugh at my jokes because she loved me, or because she was pretending? Every memory feels poisoned by doubt. Daniel told me once that he thought she might have had more than just us two, that maybe there were others. At first I refused to believe it, but then I realized if she could hide him from me, and me from him, why not more? The thought makes me sick, but I can't dismiss it. I sometimes think about what I would say to her if she walked back in. Would I yell? Would I cry? Would I ask why? Or would I just stand there frozen, unable to speak? I imagine her face, calm, maybe even cold, telling me I was never meant to know the truth. It's been over a year, and the house feels emptier every day. People stopped asking, they moved on, but I'm still here, in limbo, between hope and despair, between love and hate, between reality and illusion. I don't know if she's alive, if she's happy, if she's scared. I don't know if she chose to leave or if something happened to her. The silence is louder than any answer could be. And sometimes, when the rain hits the windows the same way it did the night she left, I swear I feel her presence, like she's just outside, like she's watching, like the story isn't over yet. Sometimes I wonder if maybe she left something behind on purpose, like a clue I haven't recognized yet. I've gone through the drawers 100 times, but sometimes late at night I open them again, just in case. I run my hands along the back of the closet, the inside of her desk, the boxes in the attic. I keep hoping I'll find a note, or even a single line written somewhere, telling me what she wanted me to know. Last week I was cleaning the kitchen and I noticed one of the old mugs we both used. Inside, scratched near the bottom, was a faint line. At first I thought it was just wear, but it looked deliberate, like someone used a key or a knife. It wasn't words, not exactly, more like 2 letters. I stared at it for a long time, not sure if it was my imagination or something real. The next day I went back to look, but under different light it was barely visible. I can't stop thinking about it, though. Was it her? Was it a sign? Or just another trick my mind plays when it can't handle the silence? I didn't tell Daniel about it. I don't think he'd understand. Or maybe I don't want him to share the hope that still keeps me awake at night. Because even now, even after all this time, a part of me still waits for the sound of her key in the lock.